Hello everyone and welcome back to Run It Up number 82. We are here today playing some 50-cent $1 no-limit Texas Hold'em on ultimatepoker.com. This is the third hand of the match, pretty much started right as we got going here. Don't know our opponent. Let's see if we can put this guy in the cage. End the week off right. Don't think there's even been like a turn. I think he limped a hand and that was it. And I don't think there's really been any showdowns yet, as far as I can recall. You'd think I remember two hands, but pretty sure there's been no showdowns. And yeah, we'll just see how this guy wants to play. This is a little bit different than most normal videos, not in like my sense, but in the sense of the fact that it is 9 in the morning. That's a very weird time to do videos. We haven't done videos at 9 in the morning in a very, very long time, not since like the 30s. But it's not like I woke up at 8 and now it's 9 I'm casting, because I can't cast an hour after I wake up. It's just a mess. This is like the end of my day at 9 in the morning. So it's a late night video at 9 in the morning. But that being said, this guy is here at 9:15 in the morning playing online. So I would guess that this guy is probably better than the average person, just because, you know, it's Friday. You know, you're playing online poker Friday at 9 in the morning. Why aren't you at work? You know, I see you're a zombie, so I guess it makes sense. But I'm just saying. So there's something to be noted that I thought that there was a chance that this guy was more likely to be good. But I guess we'll see. He hasn't done anything so far that's made me be like, So I guess we will see if that happens. We'll see if he gets to status. I don't like his chances though. It seems like he's done a lot of limping so far, and I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate a good limp. That's right. That's where we're going with, folks. So, yeah, he just folds to the raise, which is crazy. Did I make it 4 or 3? I don't remember. But either way, I'm surprised to see him fold. So, it seems like this guy is like passive Peter over here. I guess that's what we'll call him for the time being. Flopped a 3 straight flush. That's pretty sweet. Yeah. You made a good fold. I wasn't going anywhere. 3 straight flush. What am I supposed to do? Fold? Doubt it. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see, like, why is he min raising? Here's my approach to, we got this guy here. This guy sits down. I was actually sitting. He decided to sit with me on top of that. So here's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to figure out what makes the guy min raise, what makes the guy limp, what kind of hands are they doing that with, what kind of hands are they doing the raising with. We kind of want to just see and test that out, and as we learn his tendencies, we'll be able to design him a cage. That's right, custom cage design carver over here. We'll design him a cage that we will then fit him in very nicely, hopefully. So our opponent check raised here, so we have a decision between re-raising and calling. I think folding is out of the question. And yes, he's been very passive so far, but he just called pre-flop, so it's very hard to imagine he has too much, and 8s are very hard to have. So I think he has flush draws here more often than anything else, so I'm going to call, and if the turn card isn't a blue card, my plan would have been, if the turn card was a diamond, I was going to just fold, but of course now we just hit the perfect blue card, didn't we? So I don't think there's any better decision here than just to call. I don't think there's literally any reason to raise on this turn card here. We got the guy right where we want him. That's right. Scary river card for him. You know, I mean, if he did have an 8 now, he's obviously going to be quite petrified that we have a flush. But hopefully he has just like some random nonsense that has a diamond in it and now can't fold. Don't think there's any reason to do anything besides bet all in. Actually, I guess I let him save $1 here. He says, I don't want your pity. I don't want your pity. He reloaded too. He was mad. All right. So it's possible that he had an 8 and we just binked it and then made him fold. That's possible. But I think it's also probably substantially more likely that he was just joshing. So what caused him to begin his path of joshing? I don't know. Did he just say, oh, it's a paired board, I want to attack? I don't know. So the next time there is a paired board like that, we'll see if he attacks it. And if he does, we'll be a little bit less likely to believe him. He did follow up with his flop check raise with a turn bet, also worth noting. So if we make, given that he did it one time, actually, before I say, you should process in your head. Given that we've seen that he followed up with his flop bet, and, nice little flop, by the way, and given that we assume he was more likely to have nothing than something, I believe that if you put those two things together in a little thought cauldron, I think you come out with the fact that we are going to have to be a little bit tighter against his flop check raises because he doesn't give up. So against people who do give up, great. If you're going to give up, I'll call all the time. But against a guy who's at least a little bit sticky, we will be a little bit tighter in responses to his flop aggression. Does that make sense? I feel like I plotted that out pretty well. We hit all the points. So pretty easy. Bet here. I mean, what are we supposed to do? I don't think there's anything else. We rivered a 4 flush. That's kind of neat. I got a straight, bitch. He's like thinking about it. All right. Don't have a flush or a full house. All right. Ship that one. I think that hand's pretty self-explanatory, though. We made a good hand, and then we held on. No diamond. Thanks. Gonna defend here with 6-5 offsuit, not folding anything at this point to min raises. I mean, I feel like we got a pretty good read in our opponent at this point, and we're winning. We're feeling good, feeling sharp. Friday, you know, it's exciting. We're ready to go for the weekend. So we have a decision here between check raising and check calling. I think that given that we've just been on a little bit of a heater, I'm a little bit less inclined to do this, but I think this will still work often enough that he'll still fold pretty often, and we do just have 6 high. So I think one of the reasons I was less inclined to check raise on that flop there with the 6-5 is because I was afraid that he would be frustrated and be like, fuck this guy, I'm calling, which is not what we would necessarily want with the 6-5 offsuit there. I also will point out that I kind of feel like we're running this guy over a little bit, and I don't want him to quit. So, I mean, he is a zombie. He shouldn't quit. You know, you would think he would stick around. But I'm a little afraid that we're kind of mauling this guy right now. Or, I mean, obviously we're just running really good. I'm not saying we're crushing him necessarily, but we've, in results-wise, done very well so far. And I'm afraid that we're just going to, I'm happy to let him win a couple pots so he feels less petrified about our post-flop abilities. That being said, 8-9 offsuit. No way in heck I'm folding 8-9 offsuit to a raise. Heads up. I guess we could have saved $2 here, huh? I guess we could have saved $2 here and just let him have this one. But, you know, don't be so results-oriented. So we have a decision between should we try to bluff. I actually think that exactly like we just said, I'd like to let this guy win a pot here. Let's show down 8-9 offsuit and say we're playing friendly poker. I just have nothing. Or he just wins. Even better. There you go, kid. You got it. So, you know, in a situation like this where we could have been aggressive and maybe we would have won the pot if we bet or whatever, I actually really, really like the fact that we lost that pot. We'll also fold this button here. You know, don't put the guy in too much of a cage. We're building the cage, but we're disguising the cage under nice, you know, plant life and I don't know how else you disguise cages. I don't have any experience, really. I don't know what to say. So could just check here, that would be fine, but, you know, also fine is raising, and, you know, I like being the aggressor, typically speaking, especially if he's going to fold his button to us. It's great, you know, if we've talked about this spot, we've talked about this type of thing before pretty often in if we have the button every time and we make $1.50, but every time he has the button, he makes only $1 on average or whatever it is. That's huge for us, and those numbers are not even close to accurate for, like, you know, those are just theoretical numbers. But it's clearly true. We're making more money than he is because, he's limp folding his button, and, you know, we're obviously not doing that. So he decides to bet out here, and I think I actually just fold. Once again, kind of letting him win is fine, you know. Let him win one. That seems fine. And we do have a hand that's pretty bad, and if he does ever have a queen, we are drawing very near dead, and it's not exactly a great board to do anything aggressive on later streets. Boy, very poker-heavy episode, but the heads-up episodes usually are, so it's nice. We do a little blend, you know? It's been a blendy week here on Run It Up. That's a pretty sweet little flop. Jack high, which is not nothing. Double gut shot, 10 or a 6 would give us a straight, and obviously we're on them spades draws. So we're gonna check raise, not fold, in case any of you are surprised by what our plan is. I think 13 is fine. Could make it 12, could make it 11. Doesn't make a difference. He has $40. His decisions are not necessarily binary. Like, he could just call if he has a hand like an 8 and wants to see the turn card be a red deuce before he gets it in. But, you know, I would imagine his decisions typically are going to be more often to fold or to shove than call. That makes sense, Jay Carver. Thank you. Oh, you're suddenly so appreciative. I guess I should do poker episodes more often to the voice. The voice is usually so angry and angsty. Starting here with the bet. Got ourselves a 3 flush. That's kind of cool. Okay, well we're on them's pair draw. So is there a chance this guy will fold a queen if we bet here twice? I mean, there's always a chance. There's always a chance he will. But I think we let him stick in his cage. You know, be like, all right, little fella. You win this one, kid. I mean, no, look. I mean, obviously, I'm being like slightly condescending, I suppose, but I don't really mean it. Obviously, like, I mean, I do mean it to some degree, but I think that the fact of the matter is, like, we do want our opponent not to quit. We want our opponent. I feel pretty comfortable that we'll be able to make better decisions than our opponent will, both pre and post. So I don't feel the need to necessarily super street fight is basically what I'm saying. And especially since, like, if we start winning all the little pots and all the big pots and all the medium pots too, that's, kind of, not necessarily going to encourage our opponent to stick around. So I'm actually going to check back on this flop. I almost never check back pairs, as you guys very well know, but I'm curious to see what this does to our opponent. So if our opponent had bet here, I would have said, maybe we induced this by checking back. We would have had some information. But instead we get no information. Or we just find out that this guy doesn't like to bluff, which is possible. He might just want to have it every time, which would be great because that will mean it will be an easy match for us. Calling here with Jack 9 offsuit. Pretty good flop for us. Let's try leading. Let's see what this guy does to a lead. 250. Okay. We'll be doing leading more often, I suppose. So yeah, against the guy who's basically just playing straightforward poker, we're going to just put our foot on the gas pedal and pretty much not take it off. I don't see any reason why not to. At this point, I feel pretty good about that. He was capable of doing that one check raise thing, which he could have even had whatever the low pair card was. Like, once again, this is another paired board he's being aggressive on, right? We saw this before. And the Queen 7-7 was also paired, right? So we've seen him now be aggressive on every single paired board. So I'm not folding this end. I mean, we could also raise, I guess, but I'm very happy with just calling. We are beat here sometimes. I mean, it's pretty rare, but sometimes we are beat here. Against the check, I'm going to bet, obviously, return to flush draw also. If he calls, I'll be most confused. Like, I get the flop bet, but I would be confused as to what he bets and then check calls. So it looks like he was just fighting us on paired boards. So for the rest of this match, I will definitely be going to war on paired boards against him. Let's see if he defends to 3. All right, off to the flop we go. Start here with a bet. I think $4 is probably better than $3 against this guy because he looks like he's looking for reasons to fold. And you make it 3, he's like, oh, maybe I'll call with my ace-7. In which case, he makes the correct decision instead of betting 4, and then he goes, oh, I can't call 4, and then just folds. Does that make sense? Or yeah, does that make sense? So yeah, and you can take it if we had ace jack instead of queen jack, then betting 3 is correct because we want him to call with ace 7. Does that make sense? Boy, you running up warriors better go crush it this weekend. That's all I'm gonna tell you guys. I feel like there's a lot of good learnings going out here. So I'm gonna re-raise, and if he shoves, all right, let's gamble. I don't mind. If he wins, okay, we play more. If we lose, okay, whatever. I think this is pretty much like a win-win situation for us. Either he raise folds here, which would be fine with me, or we run the cards. Snap calling, of course. Coin flip seems fair enough. Pretty good flop for the king and the queen. Whoever just sat down is like, no, thank you. I'm out of here. All right. Dodged the old club ball. No big deal. Hopefully our opponent decides to reload, but, I don't even necessarily think this opponent is necessarily like bad at the stakes or just bad or even bad at poker necessarily. I just feel like, I've got 9 years of experience as playing the best poker players in the world. It makes it obviously look not too difficult to do what we did. But all right, let's see if we can find another contestant. All right, and now for our next contestant on today's Run It Up, Betty Wins joins us. Let's see how we do here against the old Betster. Pretty good start for us with the old top purr, starting here with a bet. $3. Okay. Don't see any reason to not bet yet. don't know why that made me laugh, but it definitely did. Okay, so we have a decision between checking and betting here, but let me just tell you one thing. Checking is for little bitches, and I feel like, how can we check a hand as good as King 9 here? Could we be beat? I mean, yeah, every once in a while we're beat here, but way more often he has just 9x or hands that can't call anything, 7-8, whatever else. And there's always a little bit of value in not showing our hand down. So even if our opponent did have 7-8 and wasn't going to call anyway, I'm very fine with how we played that hand there. Let's try making it 5, see how that does. All right, 5 seems too small. Let's see what happens when we make it 6. Get some infos. Opponent could call very easily, could fold. Good, obviously this hand in and of itself doesn't teach us very much about our opponent, but it gives us an indicator as to how we feel our opponent may perform in similar situations in the future. That makes sense, right? We got it, Jay Carver, we got it. You're doing good, kid. Huh? So this also is an indicator as to how his opponent will play. I think we can just give him the credit, benefit of the doubt for the time being and just fold the old ace deucey, but we might not be so kind in the future. Against the min raise, I can't fold 6-3 to a min raise. That's too good of a deal for me. Pretty good flop for us. And some sweet old backdoor draws. Bets pot very quickly, so we have a decision between check raising and check calling. I don't really know what is best here against this opponent, but I can only guess at what is better, and I believe what is better is to just check raise. If our opponent re-raises, we would just fold, but, I feel like check raising is going to be a more profitable path than check calling. Why do I think so? Well, that's a good question. If you watch these videos to learn, you should stop and ask yourself why that would be the case. And so the reason that I think check raising there is better than check calling is we check call and turn card is a jack and we check and our opponent bets. What do? Fold? I guess. Whereas we check raise right then and there, our opponent makes a decision and we're basically like, we're kind of sort of asking like, do we have the best hand right now? And then our opponent says yes or no. And I think our opponent will probably react pretty straightforwardly to that. So I thought that is like one aspect of why I think that decision is better as a flop check raise. Gonna call here against this check raise. Could we be beat? Yeah, for sure. At this point, obviously I'm never folding. But I think our opponent is often enough just check raising light or has just like a 6-7 type of hand or something like that. And I think 8 is nearly the perfect bet size on the turn here because it puts a lot of pressure on our opponent given her stack size. Could be beat, but nope. One of us made 2 pair, but it wasn't you. Saz. Oh, what are we doing? Let's see if Betty wants to play some more, or if Betty's run is over. Oh, another contender. And Betty's like, oh, Betty's back for more. All right. I thought you were going to have to find some new contenders. I don't know what to say. This 9 in the morning thing. Apparently, I'm a Terminator at 9 in the morning. When everybody is sleepy and, potentially intoxicated late at night, they'll just call us. In the morning, they're all tight and afraid, and we're just as loose and aggressive, apparently. All right, so this is pretty good flop for us to bet. Could have the best hand. Most likely did. I guess it's possible he had like deuces or something. I haven't accounted for the last video or the last table yet. I'm actually still sitting at that table just in case somebody wants to join us. We have a decision between re-raising and calling. I think I'm actually going to re-raise. I think $8 is a good re-raise size. He's going to definitely call with worse than King-Queen for $5 more. If he shoves, well, we have a decision to make, but he does not. Pretty sweet little flop for us here. Going to bet like, I'm pretty much one and done with this hand, so I want to bet enough that we'll get him to fold a hand that is better than ours right now. And not an ace, pretty much. So now I have a decision between checking and betting, and I don't think we're going to bet here. I just feel like too often our opponent will have an ace and not fold. That's pretty much that. Yeah. Makes sense, Jay Carver. We got it. Boy, I love the attitude today. You guys are just great. 9 in the morning. Everyone's so optimistic. Nobody's cursing or, fuck you, Jay Carver. I do what I want. Huh? Okay, fair enough. I was just saying. It seemed like you were in a good mood there for a sec. And by you, I mean the voice that I'm giving the viewers. All right, min-raising it up here with the old Queen 9 of blue. Pretty sweet little flop here. Again, just something a little bit tricky. Let's check back. This guy seems a little more aggressive than our last contender on the prices, right? So let's check back and see what our opponent does on the turn here. That's obviously not a great turn card to induce action on, but we can't check anymore because we're going to do check back, and he bets $2 as a bluff on the river. I'd rather him call here with ace highs, maybe like 2 sevens, maybe even king high if he's feeling extra heroic. If Betty over there is wearing her heroic bra, maybe she'll stick around with king high as well, but she thinks better of it and dodges the full house cage. Limp on the button from Battleborn over there. Nothing says Battleborn more than a limp on the button. Huh? Yeah, okay, sure. Limp on that button. I mean, it's obviously fine, and it could be a very viable part of your strategy. I just think it's hilarious to have a name like that and then limp on the button as your big debut into the poker game. Huh? And then check folds to the check raise, or bet folds to the check raise. All right. Not surprised to see Betty, the aggressive one, win against Battleborn, the limper on the button. I'm going to try raising here, blind versus blind. You guys know I almost never raise blind versus blind, but I feel like Battleborn may just say you got this one pretty often, more often than the average person. Boy, I should go play some 50, 100 or something. I need to go play high stakes. I feel really, we're in tune. Obviously, I'm in tune at a 50-cent dollar game. Not quite necessarily means anything, but I feel like everything's worked pretty well. If only we were playing like 5-10 for run it up money, we could maybe be just over today. It could be run it up's over, boys and girls. That's it. We're going to have to run it back. Definitely going to be, if we ever do like another round, for sure, run it back has to be the name of the show. I mean, run it up 2. I don't really love it. Might actually win this pot here, given this turn card. I guess we don't. We do know that Battleborn is, a little bit of a NB, as it were. But, I don't think we... All right. I guess we fold. Whatever. I guess I'll fold my 4-3 offsuit here. I mean, I think it's at least somewhat possible that we could have won that pot if if you said, hey, Jay Carver, show off to me and win this pot. I probably could have won that pot with some sort of combination of turn and river aggression, but raise it up to $5 here with the old pocket fives. Nobody wants to play with us. It's like a slightly a moo voice. I've never practiced an Amumu impression, really, but I feel like I might be able to do it. Maybe I should work on that. I'm trying. If I had all the lines in front of me, I would give it a whirl, but I don't want to have to remember the lines. It's like, why won't you play with me? I don't know how to. I can't do it. I haven't played Amumu in too long. I did win a game as Amumu recently, actually. Some League of Legends talk, but I have to practice. I have a lot of work to do. Another contender enters the field. Good old sock puppet Doc August. Sure. Welcome. Welcome to the game, Doc August. So in case you haven't already got the memo, tomorrow, 2 p.m. at Red Rock, we're doing the first ever Run It Up at Red Rock, our very first live Run It Up event. That's right. If you live in Las Vegas, you can find out more about the event over on facebook.com/JayCarverPoker. And even if you don't necessarily get like a guaranteed seat, you can still come, hang out, play cash. I'm going to stick around for, pretty substantially long time. So if you just want to come, hang out, I'll have some posters. I'll have some, there'll be some cool things going on if you just want to come and hang out. I guess against some people here, they're never, ever, ever check folding, in which case then you should just never bluff. But against some people, they're just going to check fold, and we should just bet to protect our king high. But I don't really know which of these boxes our opponent Betty would check over there. So I guess we'll just give it to her and say, okay, there you go. I feel like that avatar looks like a Camille. Am I the only one that thinks that could be true? Like, hey, I'm Camille. Can you see that with the, is it just me? All right, Jay Carver, you're fucking losing us now. I don't know what to say. I just feel like that's a very Camille type of avatar. I have never even met a Camille as far as I remember, but I just feel like that's a true thing. All right, so we limped pre and then bet flop, and now we'll try to bet turn. Maybe our opponent will fold a 7. Maybe he'll fold a king if we're extra lucky this year for Christmas. Maybe he'll fold a king. Doesn't look like we're getting our wishes answered here. This is a pretty scary board, though. I'm just going to say. This is a pretty scary board for a single pair type of a hand. So, okay, let's put on our hero shoes and try to bluff this pot. If he has two pair, he's never folding. I'm not trying to get two pair to fold. I'm just trying to get him to fold a king or worse. If he calls with an ace or better, okay, I'm not trying to get that to fold. I just want him to fold if he has 7-6 offsuit. All right, let's see what he has. All right, I'm not trying to get ace-3 to fold, and he still took some time to think about it with ace-3 offsuit. I just want him to fold the 7 or a king, and I think given that he took so long to call with an ace, I like our bluff there. I like our bluff there against a guy we've not seen before. You know, never been in that situation with that guy before. I like the scenario that came about to bluff on that river. I wasn't planning on bluffing, but then I was like, you know, I think it's too good to not. Pretty good flop for ace-queen. Hard to beat here by too much. 7, 8, 8. 8 seems good. 8 seems great. Our opponent has check folded pretty often to these. Okay. Thanks, Camille. Huh? All right. Feeling pretty good. I think this has been so far one of the more entertaining poker heavy videos we've done so far. I do have this nice pile of Dear J. Carver emails, but we haven't really had much time to talk about it. We've been so engrossed in the pokerings. You guys should let me know how you feel about that. I don't think there's necessarily like a correct answer. Like every run-up is a unique little snowflake, isn't it? But you know, I wonder. There have been some videos that have been very like entertainment heavy, and I thought they were really good, and then no one really seemed to like them. And then there are like videos that I was like, oh my god, this was really bad, and literally people will be like, oh my god, this was the best run-up ever, and I'm just like, are we watching the same thing? I mean, I've talked about this before with a couple people, and obviously my judgment as to what makes a good run-up video is very different than most of you guys, but still, it still is one of those things that I ponder. One of the many things that I stroke my now invisible beard over, and you know, I don't miss it really. I don't miss it. My reason for getting rid of the beard is that for so many years, I'm 26 now, right? From my entire adulthood, from 18 to 26, I have never been as skinny as I am right now, and I feel like a beard is a very grizzled type of a thing. I don't feel very grizzled. I feel, you know, whatever the opposite of grizzled is. Sleek? Definitely not sleek. I do not feel sleek. I've never felt sleek one day in my life. I don't know, but you know what I mean. I think, you know, it goes well with the being skinny thing. Actually, the biggest reason why I'm not excited about fighting Dan, I'm excited about fighting Dan, but the biggest thing, my biggest concern with fighting Dan, or I should say reservation with fighting Dan, is that the correct strategy to fight a guy who weighs 40 pounds more than me would be to add weight, obviously, to work out and put muscle on and all that stuff. And I really don't want to do that. If you gave me the decision tree to be 175 pounds or 135 pounds, I would take 135 in a heartbeat. I would take it like nothing. For sure, I would take 135. So it just seems like contrary to the whole fighting Dan thing. But for the chance to punch Dan in the face, I feel like I might just have to suck it up and put some muscle on. So at this point, I feel like I'm going to just check back. I mean, we could have the best hand. We still do have the best hand fairly often. But given that our opponent limp called pre-flop. Oh, I am so dubious. I don't believe this for 2 seconds. You have a flush and playing this way? Get the fuck out of here. There's no way you have a flush and play this way. And then bet 1050? No way. We could definitely lose to like Jack X, 4s every once in a while, even like weird 5s, but we're going to win this 1 in 3 times, I think. King N4. Okay. All right. What can you say? Can't be right every time. Just, you know, listen, all I'm going to say is that if you gave me the king four of clubs, I'm going to win that pot, and a lot bigger of a pot, way more often than that guy. Just, you know, Camille over there, tricky old Camille with her little puppy dog feet, just, you know, got there, of course, and did it to us. But I don't know what to say. I feel like, you know, how are we beat there? She raised called pre. I guess I forgot that she raised called. She didn't limp call. She raised called. Min raised to 2. We had 5. She called. She check called flop, which is crazy, by the way, beyond crazy. If you're looking to, think about all the dynamics of blind versus blind. If you can put on your wizardry caps for a second, running up Legion, and think about all the times you've seen us blind versus blind, and it comes Jack 3 deuce, and you flop a flush draw, 3 straight, end overcard, end the flush draw, and just check call. Crazy. So the reason why I thought that it was unlikely that our opponent had a flush there is because, do you guys like that? All of a sudden we became like super tall, and I was like, it's very unlikely. I just thought that our opponent would more likely than not. I'm not saying never. I'm not saying impossible. I'm not saying can't. Very key words, actually. Take out your slates and write that down. I actually think it's a key part of being good at poker is that when you think about a spot, don't say our opponent can't check raise flop. Can't have clubs, so he didn't check raise flop. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's just we don't know our opponent well enough to say whether or not our opponent will or will not. All we can surmise is that our opponent is more likely to. And in my analysis, our opponent is more likely to check and raise with clubs on a Jack 3 deuce board, blind versus blind in a 3-bet pot, than to check call with them, especially due to the fact that the board is so low and any combination of clubs have overcards or something, 4-6 has gut shot and overcards, you know what I'm saying? So I thought it was more likely that our opponent would check raise flop than just check call with a hand that had clubs in it. Managed to turn the old flusheroo here. Going to start with a bet. Hopefully somebody will do something aggressive, but I don't feel like Battleborn is out of the womb yet, so to speak. And Camille says no thank you and dodges the old flusheroo. So not only is the flop make me feel like it's unlikely that our opponent has a flush, even though she did have one, but I also felt that flop makes sense, or turn makes sense, check. Okay, that makes sense. Could definitely still have clubs if you have clubs on flop. And then on the river, when you bet 10-50 into 20, I don't know what to tell you. I feel like, what are you doing here? That doesn't make a lot of sense. You have like a jack? Yeah, why would you bet a jack? Why wouldn't you just check and let me bluff? Or, I'm just saying, when you put all the hands that make sense into the river cauldron of thinking, I just feel like flushes are not too often in there, especially the story just didn't really add up. Obviously, we lose to flushes some percentage of the time, but I didn't think that was going to happen often enough for us to... I didn't think that happens often enough for us to fold. There we go. Starting here with the bet, I would imagine that Battleborn will be check folding here more often than not. Substantially more often than not. Okay. I'm just saying, it's a $50 buy-in cash game. Obviously, we're not playing like top pros here or anything, but I just think it's hilarious to have a name of Battleborn and then be as tight as this guy is, But it could be Battleborn in life. It's that's very possible. It could be the toughest guy in the world. It could be Heath Herring over there. It could definitely be possible. And I'm just saying, when it comes to poker, this guy would probably have a little bit more success if he turned up the aggression a smidge. Certainly going to be defending here with the queen and 9. Let's see a flop. Dealer. We're running pretty good this video, huh? I mean, not that this is necessarily like a slam dunk, we're running hot flop, but we're doing okay. So against some opponents we would bet here because this is a kind of flop that people will check back on very often. But I suppose we will just check and then call. I think check raising here would be a mistake. If this guy buys in, I'll move the camera over. I think check raising here would be a mistake. So I guess we just call. And at this point, once again, see if we bet here. This is a very interesting spot to actually like snapshot and think about, well, what should we do here, check or bet? And I think this is actually a spot that a lot of amateurs will mess up and be like, well, I think I have the best hand, so bet. And yeah, you could have the best hand. When you don't have the best hand, you just lose so much. And given that it's 3-handed, and if our opponent ever bluffs us, like let's say we bet out and he raises with king jack, oh, it's such a disaster for us, right? So I'm going to bet here 14 on the river for straight up value. Once in a while, we'll lose to a better queen, probably by Betty over there, if old Camille. If we lose this pot, I feel like we most likely will lose it to Betty. But I suppose we could lose it to like pocket fives. Oh, really? That's the only hand that would make a lot of sense here. All right. Add that one to the pile. Bink. I don't know what that is. It's like a little value droplet. I was so worried this video wasn't recording for a second. It's nightmares I have. I haven't not recorded a video in a long time like that I thought I was recording. It's been over a month since I've done it because now I have safeguards in place to make sure I don't mess it up. But there was a stretch. There was a day in like the Run It Up 60s era. There was a day where I recorded I tried to record like 3 videos in a row. And the first time I played and the guy quit in like 4 minutes or whatever. So I was like, okay, that's not going to do it. And that was back when I was less comfortable with like casting and transitioning. So I these days I would just be like, oh, okay, we lost to this guy. Let's move on to the next thing. Back then I was like, oh, there goes the video. It's a little silly. I counted the money, but I should have just kept going. And then I played like a sit and go, and that didn't record at all. It didn't record at all. Then I recorded without sound. The wrong sound thing was toggled. It was a disaster. By the time you guys saw that video, it was like my 4th attempt at a video that day. And I remember I don't think it was necessarily that day, but there was another day where I was having like a really tough day and I was really frustrated, and I had to make a video, and I was like, it was beyond exhausted, and I laid down on the couch and I was like, all right, this is it. I'm not making a video. We're going to just have a day off tomorrow. People will have to get over it. And then I remembered, it's crazy because I never even told this to her, but the truth of how the story actually ends is that I had this like image of my mother say, and it's funny because, I have never actually seen her overcome adversity to like a work hard and achieve type of a thing. I mean, maybe I have a little bit, but it's weird to have her as the voice in my head, not my dad, is the only point I was making there. But I just had this vision of my mother being like, well, this is your decision between being weak and being strong. Yeah, you're tired, but you should do a video, and that's what that's what strong people would really do here. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm frustrated. Yes, I should just go to bed and say F it all to heck. But I didn't. I was like, okay, we're gonna do a video, and it was all right actually. I don't remember which video that was, but that was a true behind the scenes of Run It Up story for the fans at home. Single tier. That's right. Gotta be tough, kids. That's right. Gotta be, roll with them punches and then just get back up anyway. That's right. Roll with dem punches. That's right. All the Run Up Legion out there taking notes. That's DEM, by the way. How nice was that question yesterday, the German question? I want to have more international language questions sent to me. Please, dearjcarver@gmail.com. Next week, we'll get back into the Dear J. Carver swing of things, and I expect to be speaking all sorts of other languages now that we've done this. Now that I've said it, I better be speaking Finnish, Dutch. I better be speaking all sorts of nonsense by the end of next week. I know some Dutch curse words, but I feel like the Dutch curse words that I know, I feel like, I would feel bad showing the words that I'm aware of. It's a very interesting combination of words that I'm aware of in Dutch. Gonna call here with 5-6 offsuit. Okay, we've flopped a 3 straight. That's kind of cool. Probably just gonna check fold though. Although I guess maybe we... See, the problem with doing anything here is the best thing we can have usually is a 10. And against people that realize that, they can really put us in the old cageroo. And that's not really where I want to be right now. Holiday season and all. So I guess we just check fold and say, enjoy your $3, Doc. Or $2.50. I actually is true. Gonna make it $3 on the button from now on. Just feel like there's no reason not to. If Battleborn's gonna call him and check fold so often, I'd rather get an extra $1 for my time. And also, he'll probably just fold at a higher frequency anyway. So these are all things that I am fine with. I also don't believe I also don't believe that I'm ever going to open fold at this point. Maybe I'll fold like 7 deuce and whatever. Okay, strategy just changed because this guy actually 3-betted us. So my plan was to open pretty much everything, but I'm actually going to tweak that a little bit now. He could just have aces, of course, and then our strategy would still be correct. But I am going to take a step towards being tighter, having just seen him do that. Haven't just seen him done that. All right, sure, whatever, J Carver. What space ever? Limp, check. Let's see a 3, dealer. That is a pretty good 3 for us. Let's bet $2. Our opponent will definitely fold better than Jack High here. 100% of the time, he will fold better than Jack High. If he does something aggressive, I will be scared and probably fold. If he calls, oh yeah, we would have given him the business for sure. There would have been 3 streets of business headed that guy's way if he called us on the flop. Let's just be real about that. This is kind of a... All right. I felt like it was a little too high up there. I'm going to raise here. I feel like Queen 10 is probably not necessarily the best hand, but we can probably get it done just the same. Also, we're risking 5.5 to win 3.5. I think that's a pretty good deal all in all, and it's going to go fold through very often. We'll just pick up a free $3.50 pretty often. A new contestant arrives. 250? He hasn't called against 3 yet. Now, I mean, obviously you guys see that I'm adjusting my sizing based on my hand a little bit here because I'm encouraging him to call, but this is fine. We're catering our hand, our raise size based on our hand and our opponent, because these guys are not sitting over there with abacuses figuring out, oh, J Carver's raised 8 out of 9 buttons to $3. What does it mean, 250? Oh, he must be strong. No one's doing that. So there's no reason to play optimal, perfect, flawless poker if our opponents aren't noticing things like that. That was actually a thing that I did very often for years. I would be like, oh, of course I have to call here. If I fold, I'm being exploited. Nobody is fucking exploiting you, bitch. You know? If you guys play like micro stakes or even like medium stakes and smaller, nobody's exploiting you. Or very few people are exploiting you. So let's say you're on the river and you bet $500 on the river with a low flush, and your opponent goes, I'm all in for $800 very quickly. And however the hand played out doesn't really make a difference, but your opponent shoves and you're like, well, I have to call 300 to win 15 or 1600. Like, I'm getting 5.5 to 1. I can't fold. That's too good of a price. Is it, though? If your opponent 95% of the time has a flush, it's not. You know what I mean? So even though you're like, I'm not going to be exploited here. I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad attitude to have if you're playing Phil Ivey. However, if you're playing, Phil Bupkis, then go right ahead. That's right, Phil Bupkis is what I went with there. Who's that? It's nobody. I made up. Don't waste your Google power. So we have a decision here between checking and betting. I actually feel like against this opponent, I'm going to check. Against a lot of people, I would bet. But I feel like if we bet, there is no way in heck that this guy will fold an ace. And I would prefer for him to stick around one more street closer to the hand being over. Oh. All right. Well, if there's anything we've learned from this guy is that I would bet that this guy has it or is on his way to having it. You got it, kid. If he bluffed us, good. Nice hand if he bluffed us. It's possible, but not particularly likely in my opinion. I guess we're back on the re-raising game again. 5, 4, 5, 5, I guess. Actually, I was thinking about making it 6, not 4, so... If Doc re-raises, which would be very reasonable because we've re-raised like 20 times out of position like this, which is something that I would bet you that we've re-raised more out of position, or I should say raised because a lot of them have been limps, but I'd bet you we've raised more out of position at this table than we've raised in any other video on YouTube so far. I mean, maybe YouTube. Maybe I'm saying on my YouTube. I'm going to find one to prove J Carver wrong. Go right ahead, as long as it's a run-it-up video. If you can show me a spot where I was more aggressive out of the small blind and big blind, I would love to see it. Not the greatest flop for us, but I don't think I'm going to fold. we have a 3 flush and a very optimistic 3 straight. And the queen high, I'll point out, just in case we weren't already happy enough as is. Let's see a turn card dealer. Interesting turn card. We've now turned a flush draw, in case you are blind. So if our opponent bets, we have a decision between shoving and calling. It will really depend on what he bets. I actually think that the best play to make here is to call. If the river is a spade or a heart, we'd probably win this pot. Also, a queen might do it. A deuce might even do it. The only reason to shove here, the shoving would be better, is that if he's ever bet folding the hand like ace-jack or ace-queen, but those hands might just check fold on river anyway. Interesting river here. I would bet you that this river is good enough to get us to call. If our opponent shoves, that's the most interesting decision. Actually, checking might be the worst thing for us, but I don't think betting makes a lot of sense because I don't think he folds like pocket sevens here, right? I don't think he can just put us on king queen. There are so many draws that bricked. He's never folding a pair. So I think we just check and hopefully win with a deuce. All right, not this time. Is there a chance we could have won this pot on the turn with a raise? Yeah, there's a chance. But I actually think that our plan was very near perfect. We needed to spike a queen or a... maybe even a 9 might cut it also because of the straight draw that got there, or a spade or a heart. I actually think that our plan was perfect, and I think we show a profit playing our hand the way we did. Also, mathematically speaking, if you want to look at it from a mathematical lens, pre-flop, for sure, slam dunk call, correct. Flop, slam dunk, mathematically, it's not a slam dunk, but given that we're not just, playing our queen deuce for straight up value, given that we have some deviousness going on in our head, then some deviousness being stirred up, I feel like it's fine. Let's see a flop dealer. This is a relatively poor flop for us, out of position and all. Doc August is clearly the next best player at the table here. I mean, pretty clearly. I could bet or not, I guess. I mean, I feel like I'm not in love with this at all. But maybe we win on spades and hearts again. We're on the spade and heart grind. Once in a while, he'll just fold his like ace-7 or ace-6s type of hand. Got it done that time. Probably going to play for a couple more orbits. I decided to min raise here because I thought there was a chance that Doc August would just fold very quickly, and then Battleborn would probably fold very quickly, and then we'd probably just get this heads up. This guy's only got $20, so I don't really want to raise more than $2 anyway. So I would have made it like 3, maybe 3 would have been a little more effective, but I thought that maybe we could make a quick min raise, and that would probably get it at least down to heads up or so. Pretty good flop for us, though. I would say we're probably like 70% to win this pot at this point. 5 is probably good. 4 is probably also good, but I think 5 is a little bit better. We want to kind of encourage people not to be curious. So I think 5 is fine. Mission successful. That's right. That's right. With the sound effect, bitches. That's what we did there. All right. Hopping back over to the other side. The Korean mercenary has arrived. I don't know what that avatar is or who was like, you know what we need in Ultimate Poker? A Korean mercenary. By the way, I don't know what the ethnicity is of our friend over there in avatar form, obviously. I have no idea, but he looks like a Korean mercenary to me. I didn't even know the name of the person. I didn't know I was down and out. I did not know that when I was starting this joke. So now that it's starting to fill up, I'm definitely going to start checking, planning on leaving. So we'll probably play, one more round around the table, and I'll probably head out. B-Town Gal decides to give us 50 cents. Hey, thanks, B-Town Gal. Love the hat you got over there. That's adorable. It's so adorbs. Yeah, that's what that is. I guess we're just going to fold. Nah, 50 cents more against this lineup. I can't fold 50 cents more. I mean, obviously our hand is pretty shite, but what am I supposed to do? Fold for 50 cents? That does not seem like... you know I can't win if I fold, right? Did you know that? Yeah, we know. I'm just making sure. I'm making sure you're aware of these things, you know? Maybe you're a new viewer. Maybe you haven't subscribed yet. You should subscribe if you haven't. I do this 5 days a week, believe it or not. Not necessarily this 5 days a week, but something remotely similar to this 5 days a week. Okay, limp. All right, call. Sure. 5-7-9 offsuit. Let's see a flop. I'll put $1 in there. I'll put $1 in the machine. Let's see 3 cards, ultimate poker. Battleborn did not cooperate. Pretty good flop. I was trying to do a synchronized thing, but Battleborn was not quite ready for battle, as it were. Oh, yeah. Big dollar in the machine. Let's pull the wheel, boys. Let's pull the wheel. Just drill it, please. Fire up the drill. Heat up the Toshiba. Oh, fuck. I was so sure we were going to hit that. I was like 90% that we were going to hit at least a pair. Pretty good turn card, actually, for us, so if it checks around to us, we might have a chance of being aggressive, but I guess we'll just put another $1 in the machine. All right, river, boys. Okay, well, we've ended up here with 9-7 offsuit, but you can't say I didn't call down very cheaply. I did have a great price if I was going to be splashing with 9-7 offsuit. All right, games are over. I didn't get there. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert to those that didn't know. All right, get me out of here. Way too many people. I guess we take cover in the bottom left corner for the time being. All right. This cat avatar doesn't want to wait. It's a cat. No patience. I post. I don't know anything about this person. I'm just saying. That's the voice I picked. Deal with it. Deal with it, people. If you could promise me that I would see a flop, if you could write me down a promise I could see a flop, I would definitely call here. But against a guy we don't know at all, this guy is a short stack. B-Town gal may not just want to put up with the cat avatar's shite and just say, I'm all in. And then we're just all fucked with our deuce 3 suited. So also, even if it folded around and it just went heads up, we are in position with 2-3. You know, it's not like a slam dunk great spot. It's not like we're folding 3-5 of diamonds or anything like that. Now that would just be crazy talk. Crazy talk. I should move back to Long Island and start a daily morning show called Crazy Talk with Jay Carver. How do you guys feel about that? I feel like I would enjoy that for a little while until I had to wake up early and I didn't want to. That seems like that would suck. But the idea of it, I could do it. But I feel like I would imagine that most of you guys watch these videos relatively late in the evening. Oh, somebody is typing to us, but you guys can't see it. All he wrote is RIUJ with a space between the U and the J. And then you left. Oh, that was Doc August. Doc August, you played very well. If you watch these videos, I thought you played very well, actually. So good job on that. But I would guess that most of you guys watch these videos late at night. I find that I can't imagine that most of you would watch this like first thing in the morning, off on the school bus or whatever it is. I just don't feel like the humor is not morning humor. I'm loud and cursing, and there are voices, and I just feel like, I wouldn't blame somebody if they were like, I can't handle you during the morning. Most, my boyfriend would agree with you, actually. He would definitely, if he were awake right now, he would definitely be like, yep, sounds about right. This will be the very last hand. I think I'm going to play it blind. How do you feel about that? You guys will see what we have, but I'm going to raise another gun no matter what. I'm not going to know what we have till we see a flop. I'm covering it with my hands. You guys won't be able to see because you have to just trust me that I'm covering it, but I'm covering it. I guess I can wait until the hand's over before I get all excited there. But, yeah, I guess that's pretty much that. This was a fun week of videos. There was a story time on Monday. That was pretty sweet. There was an interview. Dan Smith stopped by. That was pretty awesome. The run-up yesterday I had a lot of fun with that one. That might have been the best run-up so far, in my opinion. Although I asked superfan and representative of the people, Rory McDonald, and he said it was an 8. I don't know how I feel about that. Oh, a leprechaun named Steaming has arrived. Well, you'll be stealing when I steal your post with my blind under the gun raise. I have no idea what I have. Oh, I just looked over the side and saw. I just looked at the capture. Oh, whatever. It's too late. I was going to look at the flop anyway. All right. 3 ways to the flop. Classic Jack 6 under the gun open. I'm going to bet here once and then just fold to any kind of aggression. We do have a 3 straight, so at least there's that. This guy will fold off enough ace highs, small pocket pairs, stuff like that. You know, I think that this will show a profit in a vacuum, although I do not love it. Let's see what Mort the Man thinks. All right, blind raise gets it done. Thanks for playing. All right, so let's do some accounting, boys and girls. We started this table with $50 and won 1978, and at the other table, we were here for $100 and ended up winning 102.06. We ran it up 121.84. Add that to our bankroll, and 1894.73 on the cusp of breaking $2,000 again. We've healed up some of the damage this week. We ran it up this week. Hey, that's pretty sweet. We at least did what we were supposed to do. And we also got a sick hazmat suit. Check that out on Facebook, by the way, if you haven't already. There are some pretty sweet pictures of my Breaking Bad memorabilia experience. So thanks so much for watching, as always, guys. I really appreciate it. Don't forget, facebook.com/jcarverpoker. It's the hub of all things Run Up. I post all sorts of giveaways, stuff like that, exclusively on Facebook. So if you're not a friend of mine on Facebook, you can add me. I will accept you, most likely. And don't forget, also, tomorrow, 2 p.m., Red Rock. If you're in Las Vegas, come hang out. It'll be a lot of fun. I'd love to meet some of you guys, and we can be Legion in person. It'll be a great thing. So I even have a trophy. Hold on, I will show you guys. I'll take a picture of it and show you guys later. But there is a trophy to be won. It says "Running Up at Red Rock Champion." It's beautiful. It comes in like a velvet thing. It's great. You'll love it. It's worth playing for, as Jeff Probst would say. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought. Don't forget, like the video if you enjoyed the video. That's how I know you liked it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, as always, guys. I really do appreciate it. I will see you back for more very soon. Peace.